All right, I'm doing this quick video here. Obviously, anyone watching this, essentially, I'm gonna send this off. But here's a quick topic, so I kind of understand. It takes a lot of understanding to actually see it and actually understand it until you actually do it. So, obviously, an employee is based on working through time on a time schedule, and an entrepreneur or an investor is based on value. So essentially, your earnings are not tied to an hourly schedule. That's the difference between an employee and an entrepreneur or an investor. So obviously an employee, you show up for work, you're based on, depending on your employer, you're based on essentially um, your earnings by an hour versus it takes a while to concept that. So, but wait a minute, Derek, what are you trying to tell me here? Well, I'm telling you that essentially, yes, I do work for some money still, but at the same time, my earnings are not really tied to time. See, when you start understanding um, that your money is working for you 24/7 versus hourly, then you can switch from being an employee to becoming an entrepreneur to becoming actually wealthy class. So, um, yes, I still technically work, but I work to create value. So, essentially, it could be a product which I make, something that has value to someone else. Could be a course, could be like a video like this through YouTube. You do it once, you post it. As long as you have views through the video, you get paid for that. So that's something that happened once, but can reoccur. So essentially, there's different ways to become financially free or become technically wealthy class. And the first thing is you need to understand is separating time and money. That's the first thing you need to understand. So it's either creating a system, creating value in some way or another that someone's willing to pay you for it, and your your income is not traditionally made through time frame. So it's very hard to grasp, but once you kind of get that concept down, now you can actually start understanding that. So, but the most common ways, usually people that are wealthy class, is usually their income is through a business. So it's a system. So they hire employees or they have a system running for them. Mine is a system running for me. So I know how to do that. The second one that most people understand is real estate, obviously. You show up to a property, um, you essentially have someone rent out the place if they agree to it. Then, essentially, if you bought the place or you control it and somehow, um, then essentially that money is coming to you, essentially. So um, there's different ways of doing it. So essentially, the slowest way I think to make a lot of money is usually through growing products. So obviously apples, soybeans, corn, all that stuff, because that's based on seasonal versus obviously if you're someone that does like car parts and does uh, photography, which is very specialized, does anything that's not tied to growing stuff, then you can make money very fast, essentially. But yeah, not trying to upset anyone's values, but essentially that's the difference between a working class person versus in an entrepreneur is how they earn their money essentially, and it's not based through time. So once you concept that, you can make a lot more money and pay less in tax, and essentially you're kind of set to go essentially. Then you can make as much as you really want to make. Yes, it does take time. It takes a lot of discipline to do it, but it's possible. So, kind of hope this helps. That's just how I see it, and that's how I've been taught and how I understand it essentially. Not trying to downgrade anyone. Obviously, I've worked jobs and stuff, but I'm not. My money and earnings are not directed to time; they're directed to value now. So that's the difference. So thank you.